Welcome to this third global group meditation. My name is Dr. Alaric Aronender, and this is my wife, Dr. Cynthia Aronender.
And it's such a great joy for us to be with all of you. And we wanted to give you just a few minutes about what we do to spread this beautiful knowledge that Maharshi's given us on transcendental meditation and the group meditations that we have.
We travel around the world presenting the scientific research documenting the significant benefits of transcendental meditation and the TM City program on brain, body, and behavior. These presentations include live EEG demonstrations, which dramatically and clearly show how the brain becomes highly ordered and coherent during the practice of transcendental meditation.
We are very fortunate to work with wonderful people like Raja Louise and Father Gabriel Mejia. Father Mejia is a Catholic priest from Colombia, and he has over 50 centers for orphans, street children, and those in need. One of the main pillars of his foundation is group practice of transcendental meditation and the TM City program.
We also help to set up coherence-creating groups, which decades of research have shown to neutralize negativity and stress in society, thereby increasing social harmony and progress.
Let's get started now with our presentation. Again, the title is Improve the Functioning of Your Brain. EEG research explores the power of individual and group practice of transcendental meditation. You have an amazing brain. It is the most intelligent, the most complex structure in the universe. It is your very own supercomputer. It controls everything you will ever do, and it orchestrates your reality and all that brain activity from billions of cells. It creates your reality. It creates your world.
The human brain has over 100 billion cells. The key to brain functioning is to get all the cells to work together. Most brain cells use electrical signals to communicate with one another. Only by working together in an integrated fashion is it possible to create a unified togetherness of brain activity to support our awareness and our thinking. The whole story of brain function is how the unimaginable diversity of brain electrical activity is unified at every moment to support our thinking and our behavior. This means the more correlated or integrated the electrical activity is between cells, the more successful our thinking and our behavior. The main anatomical means of unification are these vast fiber pathways linking cells from every part of the brain together. This beautiful graphic depicts only a very few of the 180,000 kilometers of fibers in each brain, as representative of the interconnection of brain areas. These innumerable pathways allow coherent interaction between the 100 billion brain cells. Only coherently oscillating neural groups can interact or communicate effectively. This reinforces the main point that unification of diverse brain activity to support conscious awareness and successful thinking depends upon the degree of brain orderliness or coherence.
So here we are with the EEG machine. This is the EEG machine. This is what we use, we travel around the world with. It's very portable, as you can tell, and it measures different parts of the brain. This EEG machine is very valuable for demonstrating the value of transcending. It shows live, dynamic brain activity as one moves from waking state to the transcendence. It can show differences between different levels of evolution and so forth, and it can even be used for some beginning research. This machine has a number of electrodes. You can see the hat is comfortably fit here. We have electrodes in the front and electrodes in the back of the brain. We're able to measure the prefrontal cortex, or the executive control center, as well as the back of the brain where you're creating your world. So it's like you and the world. The very front, executive control center, more self-referral, and the back of the brain, more object referral, where you create your space, time, your reality. So this is related between you and your reality, between you and the world that you live in, created by your brain. So this is the system. It's very easy to use, and you'll see that in the coming parts of the video, we'll show you the display of different types of EEG and what happens during the practice of TM, and also some of the beginning research, what happens when people practice meditation in a group setting. Does meditating in a group any different than meditating by yourself? You might have your own personal experience, but we'll show you some of the research that demonstrates there is a value to meditating in the group. So, anything else?
Yes, I wanted to tell you that this is the kind of hat you wear when you're married to a neuroscientist.
Lucky me.
So one of the things that I think is interesting, you've been seeing how the brain works, and if you take and you look at one of these electrodes, this is actually picking up the brain activity, all that electrical activity of millions of cells in this area, and we're looking now at the prefrontal cortex. So this, with a little gel, is what makes it possible for you actually to see what's going on in the brain.
And we're going to show that to you. It's very exciting.
What you're looking at now is the computer displaying the raw EEG. You're looking at 2 leads in the front and 2 leads in the back.
The computer then utilizes this information from these 4 sensors, which pick up the electrical activity of millions of brain cells, and uses that information to carefully calculate the amount of energy or power and the amount of correlation or coherence. And we'll show that to you now.
Here we see the EEG of a person that practices transcendental meditation. And soon you'll be able to see them actually start their meditation.
So, in a moment, it'll be obvious when the person starts meditating. Watch the coherence between the left and the right prefrontal cortex. Did you notice that transition that occurred right about here? We asked the person to start meditating, and you could see that immediately the EEG stabilized at a very high, consistently high level of brain coherence between the left side and the right side. And along with that is that the left, or in this case the right alpha coherence is very high, the power there. So we see higher power and higher coherence when a person's meditating. This is the classic signature over the last 50 years.
This is your prefrontal cortex. This is the director of all your thinking and behavior. The proper orderly functioning of the human brain depends upon our prefrontal cortex. It's our executive control center. It gives rise to our sense of self, our goals, motivation, decision-making, habits, self-control, our morals, our beliefs, how creative we are, how we plan, and more. The prefrontal cortex is the nexus, the control center that's directing every aspect of brain functioning and bodily function. And when it is orderly, then we are orderly. And when the left side works together coherently with the right side, then the prefrontal cortex is in the direction of full development. And a fully developed prefrontal cortex is an orderly prefrontal cortex, giving rise to orderly thinking and behavior.
The EEG that you're looking at now is of an individual who regularly attends group practice, participates in advanced techniques, and the TM City program. You can see these very high sustained levels of coherence in the right and left hemisphere of the prefrontal cortex. This demonstrates the importance of regularity of practice and participating in group programs. It is beautiful to see these very high and sustained levels of prefrontal cortex coherence. Now we'll take a look at ongoing EEG research, seeing the effects of group practice on individual brain coherence.
We're now going to show you an EEG tracing of an individual who's sitting, meditating in front of an audience full of meditators. This individual is not aware of any signals. In a moment, I'm going to give a silent hand signal so that everybody will begin to meditate at the signal. You will see that we have three screens here. The top is the alpha coherence in the front of the brain, and the alpha coherence in the back of the brain, the left side and the right side, and crisscross. So we now have the alpha coherence across the entire brain using these four sensors, which is a measure of most of the brain coherence. So we have an estimate of the global brain coherence, and you can see that his meditation is not too bad. It's bouncing around a little bit and having some impulses and a bunch of thoughts and so forth. What we're going to in a moment see when I lower my arm and the group starts meditating all together, what the effect may be on this individual's EEG. So watch closely. So, do you see a time where there probably was a change? Yes, right about here. At this point, the signal was given for everybody to join him in his meditation, and you can see there was a very spontaneous and immediate change in brain coherence. His front and his back stabilized and remained very high as opposed to previous to that. His left and right also went up maximum and stabilized, although it excurred a couple times, and so did the crisscross. The left and right and crisscross are harder to maintain coherence, and so the fact that the front, back, left, right, and crisscross all went through the same excursion at the exact same time indicates that when the group started practicing, there was a definite effect on this individual's ability to remain in a very settled, highly coherent state. This is an example of what can happen when a group meditates together and how they can benefit each person's individual meditation because of the group coherence. Group coherence leading to more global coherence and a more enriched self-referral experience. This is an EEG graph you have not seen before. It's still actually very simple. We have, in this case, a single lead, the left front EEG lead, and this is a power structure from very slow frequencies to faster frequencies. In particular, we have alpha here between the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hertz. So this range is alpha, and you can see it immediately when he closes and begins to meditate, he has a burst of slow alpha, around 10 hertz, and there is some change as he's continuing to meditate, and we'll play this to show you what happens when he meditates and then the group starts. So here we go. This is his first burst when he's meditating, and as we move forward in time, we can see we have little peaks around here and alpha, and some little beta and some theta, but there is some alpha going on here. There's still coherence across the brain, but in terms of the individual place, he's having just a moderate amount of local coherence. In a moment, we're going to see, starting right here, there is a massive increase in local coherence in this lead as well as the other three leads in the brain. Notice as he continues to meditate when the group is joining him, this high levels of alpha 1 or low alpha coherence while the individual is practicing with the group. Again, indicating that not only is there global coherence across the whole brain, but each lead is showing that millions of cells under each electrode have gone into a very synchronous, highly synchronous stage of low alpha, indicative of self-referral experience. This is another individual at another time in another place. TM practice on the left,
and the same type of TM practice, but with the group on the right. And you can again see the difference, the increase in global coherence, in this case, the prefrontal cortex coherence. So a number of people we've looked at over the last years, we've seen this increase by group practice.
Now we'll look at this 7-year study of an individual who regularly attended group practice, participated in the advanced techniques, and the TM City program. It's a 7 years of sequential growth of broadband coherence of the prefrontal cortex.
This is a graphic of human brain EEG. You can tell there are different frequencies at different rhythms. And we're going to look at broadband, which includes alpha, beta, and gamma. These three frequencies underlie cognitive experience. Alpha's observer, beta observing, gamma observed. So the three together, combined, we're going to see alpha, beta, and gamma. And the combination of these three over time, we start with a baseline. You can see the top alpha is high, as you'd expect in most people who start meditating. Over 24 months, we find that the top remains the same, but the beta and gamma increase. At 63 to stop, the top is still the same, and the beta and gamma have increased. And at 85 months, they're now all very high. This case study illustrates three very important points about the growth to enlightenment. The first is that the prefrontal cortex alpha coherence is found quite right away when a person's beginning the practice and continues to be there throughout the life of the practice. It's immediate and high and unique to TM. The second thing is that over time, with regular practice and advanced programs, this broadband coherence develops. That is, in addition to alpha, we get theta, beta, and gamma. Again, this is unique TDM, where we find over time high and sustained levels of all these other rhythms of the brain, which infer a more stable experience of the self, not only in program, but also in activity. Which leads us to our third main point, which is this is indicative of the growth to enlightenment, or total brain functioning. The effortless practice of TM and Maharshi's advanced programs are a very simple and very effortless set of practices to bring about the full development, full creative development of any individual. Let's summarize our first main point. Higher levels of brain coherence underlie more successful thinking and behavior.
Number 2, TM is a simple and effective tool to enhance global brain coherence.
Point 3, group practice supports the development of global brain coherence. And point 4, heightened coherence indicates greater use of the brain's potential.
Here's a beautiful summary quote from Maharshi. Train the brain to function orderly so that every human brain can develop its full potential.
Thank you for enjoying this short knowledge presentation. As you can see, the human brain is absolutely marvelous creation. Every brain is born with the full potential of creativity and enlightenment. With using Maharshi's technologies of TM and the advanced programs, this can be accomplished, as we've seen by modern scientific research, and in this short presentation, the value of group program.
Yes, getting together for our group program is not only a great benefit for our own lives, but for the whole world. Thank you for being with us, and have a wonderful and peaceful group meditation with everyone.